Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 185. It is Christmas Eve, but we're still here. We'll see you in a minute. We're going to start with my buddy and friend and guest, Marc Stein.
Real estate agent, are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder podcast.
And we're back. Thank you, everybody. Here we are. It is Real Estate Talk TGIF number 185, and we've done 182 weeks in a row starting today. Marc Stein, how are you, man? Thanks so much for taking the time on Christmas Eve to join us here on Real Estate Talk TGIF. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. This is fun. I mean, you and I work together on a regular basis. We get to see each other and talk to each other almost daily. And I'm hoping you know the answer to the initial question that I always ask on my broadcast. What does TGIF stand for?
TGIF. Thank God it's finale.
Exactly. See, winner, Christmas dinner. Here we go. All right, man.
I say it every day that I get to talk to you.
That's right. So I hope you, it's good that you did know the answer to that question. Anyway, so hold on one sec. I'm doing crazy, doing 25 different things at once. I am not looking at my phone. I'm getting ready to share everything so everybody knows that I'm not being rude. Anyway, Marc, tell me about your story. Tell me about you're the leader of Links Residential. You were a brokerage. You moved over to another company, and you changed your brokerage. Tell me what insights you got from the day you started in real estate to where you came from and where you are today. Could you share that with us?
Sure. So I started in real estate January. I think is going to be 21 years. It's quite a ride. But when I started in real estate, it was a very different business than it is today. I would show 2, 3, 4 houses, go to contract, close in 30 days, no issues. Everything was very smooth, very easygoing. And over time, the business has gotten a little more in depth, meaning that the attorneys have written longer and stronger riders and addendums. There's been more and more concern about environmental issues, so that takes a little bit of time. So over the last 20 years, things have changed, ups and downs. My best years in real estate were actually in 2009 and 10 after that crash, where at the end of the day, buyers and sellers just needed to have a good, responsive, honest agent. And I was able to do, I think, over 70 deals on my own in 2010, just by being able to be responsive and understanding the market well enough at that point to advise both buyers and sellers in terms of where the market is, where the market's going, how to get rid of houses that, a lot of things were not selling at the time. So I've seen it all. And over time, I've realized that the most enjoyable thing for me is to help someone get into a new home. And especially this time of year when people are closing the last few weeks, trying to get in before the holidays, the end of the year, enjoying family time in their new space. It's just really, really enjoyable to see the smiles on the faces of the parents, the kids, everyone involved. And so it's really enjoyable to see that. And over the years, I realized that, I kept growing and growing my business to the point where I was too busy running a business and I was able to do business. And I know that sounds a little weird, right? Like I was too busy running the legalities, liabilities, compliance, behind the scenes bookkeeping, all these things that you have to do as a business owner, which I didn't really enjoy as much as I did in like actually doing business, helping agents, coaching agents, making sure that, buyers and sellers have what they need. My motto when I opened up my own brokerage in 2013 was, I want to service the agents so the agents can service the buyers and sellers. And that just took over my life at that point, where I was doing anything and everything I can to help agents succeed. But it was so busy running a business, I had to figure out what to do. So I guess just about 2 years ago, I made the switch over to EXP, where they deal with all the brokerage responsibilities. And instead of being a broker owner now, I'm just the owner CEO of Links Residential, where I'm able to focus on how do we do more business? How do we do more marketing? How do we do more outreach? How do we get more listings? How do we get more buyers? And my focus is now how to make my agents more productive. And that's really where I'm at today. And I'm looking to help agents around the country I coach agents in a couple different states now, helping them focus on what it means to be doing activities that are going to help their business and their career. I train on mindset. I train on time blocking, which I think is probably the most important thing that I train on, and helping agents understand that you have this many hours that you want to work. What are you doing during those hours in order to make it happen?
That's some story, man. I mean, there's so much. If we wanted to unpack everything, why don't we have all day? Especially since it's Christmas Eve. I mean, we can't even go into tomorrow. But I want to get into a couple of things you said, and one of you. And this is one thing that I've always said to people even when I owned my own brokerage for 21 years, it was, I want to open my own brokerage, right? I want to open, I want to get away, when I hear agents talk like this, and I have for years, man, being a broker owner, as you know, you'll talk to agents, they'll say, they're just getting too much of my money, right? And I think that's the number one thing that I hear. Is it true that the brokers are making more money than the agents, and it's all the agent money and the broker does, she's getting all my money? That's what I hear. Talk to me about that point and why, yes or no, people should open their own brokerage.
Right. So I also had that mindset where like, I'm going to open up my own brokerage. I'm going to get all the money. I'm going to build my own brand. I'm going to do it for a lot of different reasons. And I think as time has gone on, right, when I started 20 years ago, it used to be that you're going to call the local real estate office, the local broker, let's call it, to list your house for sale, right? You're looking in a certain town, you're going to call that. You probably remember how many little brokerages there were in all these towns because they were the local broker for a town or two or three. By us, it was very, very segmented by the town. And so everyone thought they're giving the broker all this money to be an agent in that area. But now as time has gone on and the business has changed, very few buyers and sellers actually care where the office of the brokerage is located because of the way that the internet has brought in all the advertising and marketing abilities that we have today.
Right.
And it's more important that the buyers and sellers are hiring an individual agent or a team of agents to represent them. And they don't really care what color flag is in their front lawn when the for sale sign goes up. They just care that the person they're hiring is going to do the job for them that they want to do. And so I think it's changed the playing field for everyone out there where you don't need to own a brokerage anymore. You need to build your brand. You need to build your team. And that's what the focus needs to be. The brokers have a lot of legalities, a lot of responsibilities, a lot of compliance with states, a lot of insurances, that be members of all the different MLSs, right, in order for the agents there to be. And I think that there's a lot of misconception that the broker makes all this money. The brokerage is there for you to have a legal entity to do real estate. So as long as the agents understand where they are in the world and understand where they want to go, they can build their own brand, they can build their own team, they can build their own business under someone else's brokerage in order to succeed. And really, I've spoken to almost every seller that we've listed with, and they don't really care what color flag, what office, they really just want to make sure that it's the team or the agent that they're hiring is going to do the job they want them to do, which is be responsive, get their house sold, find them a house to buy, whatever it's going to be. Those are the things that are most important.
So Marc, when you're talking about, again, a lot of stuff there, when you're talking about the brokerage and being an owner of a brokerage and running a team, so you're telling me that, that you're not making more money because of all the responsibility and everything that's going on. That's exactly what you're saying, right? Right.
We're correct.
Right. Exactly. So, and that's the way I looked at it too, is, funny enough, I said to myself, and I said it to a lot of people, I said, I could make more money just renting out my space.
Right.
I own the building and I could make more money. And I actually, honestly, it about the same, right? A little bit more, but it's the same thing. So when we talk about, you've talked about, without saying it, the evolution of the modern brokerage.
Correct.
So we had back in the 70s and 80s, 70s was more, it was brand centric, but it was just as much agent centric as it was that now, because that's when I started in the 70s was, who did you know? Like I went into this company, the name of the company was D'Angelillo and Cooker, it was Homes for Living.
Right.
What about franchises? It's just something that they used, right? And they had these booklets that they sent out and everything else, but it was two guys, and they were never in the office. They were always out talking to people, having lunch with people, and that's how they grew their business. So it was agent centric. You get to the 80s, Century 21 came forward with being one of the biggest franchises at back then and now. And we went from brand centric to company centric to franchise centric to brand centric to broker centric. Now we're all the way back to agent centric once again. So how does an agent, with that being said, how does an agent build their brand away from their brokerage?
Again, a brand is who you are, right? A brand is what you represent. A brand is what are your, focusing attributes that you are going to share with everyone, right? That is your brand. Your brand could be you and your name. Your brand could be a group of people. Branding is, I think, super important in this world because it's what people know of who you are. And when I built Links Residential, I didn't want it to be Marc Stein Real Estate because I'm not the brand. I wanted to build a brand that meant something, that had a vision, that had a mission. And we go through that, every year to make sure it's still on point. And I think that agents need to take a step back for a minute and not just look at, I got to do this many deals, but who are you? Who are you representing? Like, what does the public know about you? And, we've become well known throughout Bergen County and even parts of Central Jersey now, where you say the words Links Residential and it means something to people. They know, they did a good job here, or they're, I know who they are. And, we've touched a lot of people over the last, 7-8 years of doing real estate, where we've come in contact with them, and whether they hired us or not, they know at the end of the day, we're going to do what's right for the customer without a question. Right. And it's not about let's get another deal done and get a commission check. It's what are we doing that's best for the customer? And that's really why my business took off in 2008, 9, 10. Because I was doing what's right for the customer. When people were in trouble with their houses, like, how do we figure out how to process the short sale properly? How do we make sure to maximize the amount of money they can out of their houses when things were not selling as much as they are today, right? We're in a different market today. You put a house on the market and you get multiple bids on it as long as you're priced somewhat appropriately, right? Back then you would be on the market and it would sit, 30, 60, 90 days without any offers because there was just a flood of houses on the market. So I think that you have to build a brand that no matter what's going on in the market, your brand stands out. And that's what we do. We just make sure what we're doing is the correct thing for the buyers and sellers, always making sure they're protected, always making sure that they're represented properly. When we list a house, we're making sure the pictures and the floor plans and the description is benefiting the homeowner, right? Making sure that we're going to promote their house and merchandise their house as best as possible to the buyers that are out there. When we take on a buyer, we explain to them every part of the process from beginning to end, so they understand before they even start looking at a house, like, here's the process in New Jersey, here's how you have to look for a house. And they appreciate that education, and they know that we're going to do right by them because we already told them everything that we're going to do for them, which is a list of hundreds of tasks that they're going to see the value that we're going to bring to the table to help them.
So when you're talking about building a business with the agents and what Links Residential is doing and how it all works in a brokerage, I've seen a lot of agents, depending on price, is going to depend on what their service is going to be. And I know that one of the most important things is that we're consistent with every listing. Talk to me about your theory and how your brand works with the buyer that's at 500, the seller that's at 500 and the seller that's at 2 million. Is there a difference in your marketing at all, or is it all consistent?
So there's a baseline for all our marketing, right? Everything has to be professional pictures and floor plans and videos if necessary, if the house warrants it. But at the end of the day, it's making sure the information you're putting out to the public is the correct information, is enough information for them to get a sense for the house, to bring the right buyers in. So yeah, a $2 million house may have less buyers than a $500,000 house, but we still need to find those right buyers who are qualified for each of those price points, and making sure that before we bring them in, that they understand what they're getting into. A house that listed at $2 million probably has $50,000 in taxes, when a house at $500,000 has $15,000 in taxes here in Bergen County, right? So we need to make sure people understand not just the cost of the house, but the cost of carrying the house in the future, and understanding all those details that go into it. right? So we're not doing anything that different, but we are educating, the consumer, so they understand that they're not just buying a house, but this is what they're buying into, right? It's the lifestyle of this house.
Yes.
And we're making sure that everyone is comfortable. We never want to sell a house to someone who can't afford it, right? We never want to sell a house to someone who's not happy with it. And, it happens often where a buyer will make a bid on a couple houses and they get outbid right now and they get all frustrated. And I'm like, look, at the end of the day, you're going to get the right house that you're going to be happy with. And, I just had a nice young couple who, newlyweds, and they were looking for a house and they got outbid on some and they were pushing themselves to get others. And it wasn't 100% what they wanted. I'm like, guys, I know you're anxious to get a house, but let's take a step back. Let's make sure the house you're getting is what makes sense for you. And then a house came up. All right. And they made an offer on the house and it didn't get accepted right away. They accepted someone else's offer. But then all of a sudden we get a call 4 days later, the first buyer's backed out. Do you want the house? And they got the house at a great price without being pressured to go up, and the house that they want, and they're going to be happy, and they're closing this week. So there's a lot that goes into it. And it's all about what's doing right for the buyer or seller at that time.
I love that, because you've talked about the education of the buyer, the education of the seller, and that there's we had an expression years ago when a house wouldn't sell. Look, you don't worry too much about it. So there's an ask for every seat.
Right.
And basically, there's a $500,000 to $2 million buyer and seller, and while they get treated the same, the education process might be a little different. I want to go way back, Marc, when you started your business, when you started in the real estate business, and how you built your business. I think this is really important, what you're going to tell us now, simply because I know that new agents can do this simply. I know that experienced agents can do this simply. And I also know that yours truly also started doing this recently as well. So I want you to talk about the process you went through when you first started in the business.
All righty. So when I first started in the business, it was the way it worked was you would sit at the up desk, it would be called, or the welcome desk, and answer the phone for 2, 3, 4 hours at a given period. And you get calls from people who call the office line. Hey, I want to list my house. I want to buy a house. But being that, I was new to the business, there was a bunch of experienced agents there. Every time someone would call, either they would know another agent, or an agent in the office would say, that's my brother, sister's, cousin's kid. Like, they're my client. So I was like, how am I supposed to build a business without being able to get any clients from the office? So I changed the way I thought about it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go and become the local realtor in the town. But what does that mean, right? What does it mean to become the local realtor?
Right.
I decided to walk up and down the main street in Teaneck. It's called Cedar Lane. It's about 3 blocks long. And I would walk up and down, meeting every business owner, every business manager, every restaurant manager, a lot of the waiters and waitresses, some of the staff. And I would just go in and introduce myself. Hey, how are you? What's going on? How's business these days? What, do you have any sales? And tell them I'm, a local real estate agent, just looking to meet people. And over time, I became friends with these people, where I got to know who they were, know about their families, know what's going on in their lives, know what's going on in their business. They would tell me about, hey, we're going to do a sale next week. I would shoot an email out to my, 150 people at the time. That was my biggest database, back then, 20 years ago.
Right.
Let them know that there's going to be a sale for something, maybe a restaurant special that coming up week. And I just became the local person, and I became friends with a lot of the business owners. And at the end of the day, they started referring me not just to their customers, but to their families. And over time, I did a lot of real estate for the people I met. But this is not something you do once and forget about it. Like, I did this every week for probably almost 3 years. Whether it was cold out, whether it was hot out, I would do it every week. I would walk up and down. I would just walk into places, say hello, see how they're doing. Holiday time, I'd bring them all a little gift. And just at the end of the day, it made a difference, because anytime someone would come to town and like visit their place, and the restaurant owner, the waitress would say, hey, are you new in town? This and that. Like, oh, we're coming to look at the town. We're maybe looking to move here. They're like, oh, my buddy Marc, you really should call him. He's a local realtor here you should use. And so the referrals that I got from spending that, hour, 2 hours once a week, walking up and down, meeting everyone, just was invaluable. And to this day, I still get referrals from that. We're like, hey, you still in real estate? Like, I got my mother or my cousin needs to sell their house. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me know. And that's really how I built my business. Like, I couldn't build it just from, not knowing anyone. So I figured, let me know everybody. And here we are today, where I was able to build a business, and still to this day getting business from those hours I spent.
That's really cool. And you did this every week, Marc. Isn't that
every week?
People would say, well, isn't that a bit much? They saw you last week. They're going to see you again. What did you change anything? Did you say anything different? Or you just stop in and say, hey, how you doing? Remember, saw you last week. What was the script?
The script was just stopping in to say hi, caring about people, caring about the community you live in, showing them you care, helping them where you can help them. Maybe they're having a problem in their business or problem with something going on, and you knew the right person to bring them. Like, it's really just about getting to know people, because once you get to know people, they open up to you. And once they open up to you, then you can help them. Right. So, Dave, this. Well, how do I live my life every day? Do good for others. Right. So it really started. I didn't actually have that thought back then, because I wasn't how I was thinking. I was thinking, like, how can I get more business?
Right.
But it turned into, like, how can I do good for others? Like, how can I help other people in my community? How can I help other business owners? How can I help other buyers and sellers so that they get what they need? And in return, at some point, it will come back to me. Like, I'm not doing it for the instant gratification, which is what social media has done to our world today, right? I want to post something on social media and get 100 likes and get 100 people to talk to me. No, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks and years building a reputation, building a following of people that wanted to work with me because I cared about them and their business and their families. So it really just, has turned into a bigger marketing piece than I ever thought it would. I just did it because I couldn't get a listing from the office. I had to go find my own stuff.
Right. And the important part there is, I want everybody to remember that, we talk about giving. You talked about doing stuff without money in mind, doing good for others, which is your mantra, and just really cool. And I love it. And just talking about, you're going there just to say hello, and it was a way to get known. And yes, there was, look, let's face it, there was an end in mind. You wanted to get business, but you weren't going in there for that reason. You went in there with the attitude to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? I just want to stop in and say hello.
Right.
Right.
Right. As long as they know me, I knew the business would come some point, but, like, let me see what I can do for them until then. Like, I didn't have that much going on during the day, so I might as well meet people and try to help them and do what I can do.
I want everybody to probably rewatch this, at least this portion of this broadcast, because it's really simple about how to build a business simply. You're not only building a business, Marc, you're building a brand. You're building the Marc Stein brand, which is what you said in the beginning, and that everybody's brand is themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did. You did that before it was the thing to do, right? Of course, through years, of the real estate business. As I said, I was started in the 70s. If you did that, it was going to be unique. And today it is still unique. And having experienced and done that myself recently, it's pretty interesting going through and introducing yourself to perfect strangers, because now it's like, what are you selling? And that's what the internet has done to us, and social media. So, all right. So great way to build your brand, great way to build your sphere of influence as well, and your list as well. And the important part there, and something I learned recently with you, was make sure you know their names. Make sure you get their names. Make sure you walk in and use their names, right?
Yeah.
Very important. So
I actually had a little notebook. I would write down names. I'm very bad with names. Names are very hard for me to remember. Faces, I can remember faces. I can tell you the exact layout of the first house I sold, right? But I can't remember names. So I would write down the names of people. I had a little notebook I carry with me, name of the place, names of the people, so I remember them. And then eventually I was able to get it. But remember people's names, remember people's kids' names. Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So you talked about time blocking and talked about mindset. Talk to me about the importance of mindset and time blocking individually, and put them together for me, because it's a nice package to have together.
Right. So the first thing you need to do is have the right positive mindset. You can do it, you can succeed at it. You can overcome whatever challenges are there. You have to be positive in life. One of my business mentors back in the day told me, at the end of the day, everything works out. And if it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end of the day. And you just got to press forward. You got to push forward. You got to figure out how to make it work. Got to figure out how to make it happen. And as long as you have that attitude of whatever it takes, right, then you're able to succeed. You're able to get through all the hard times in order to succeed and see all the good times. In addition to that, you need to learn how to be consistent with what you do. Time blocking gives you that ability. If you take your entire day and break up the 8-10 hours that you are working into 20-30 minute groupings of what you need to do, and you put it on your calendar, then you have a schedule that you need to follow. And if you're consistent with what you need to do every day, it will become second nature for you to do all the tasks that you need to accomplish in order to succeed. So having the right mindset and understanding how to plan your time properly is what's going to make you successful. And I have, 3 or 4 times throughout the day where I have email time, where if it's not a quick response email or text message, I will sit down 3 or 4 times during the day and write out the whole emails and do the research and bring the emails back to the clients. But it's not like every time an email comes in, I'm jumping to respond to it. If it needs an immediate response and it's quick, I'll do that. But if it's not, and it needs me to sit down and actually write out an email or do some research on an MLS or pull some document for someone, I have scheduled times throughout the day to do that. There's scheduled times throughout the day to do prospecting, to talk to new people, right? You need to be able to do this every day to keep building your business. There has to be time in your day to follow up with people, right? You need to have all these things done. So instead of just being a little chaotic, we're like, oh, here's a list of everything I need to do today. Well, here's my time blocking today. And so I know what I'm going to do when, not just have a list of things to do, because a list of things to do gets overwhelming. But if you know at 9 to 9:30, you're going to do emails, and at 9:30 from 10 to you're going to do follow-up, and then at 10, you're going to do prospecting, and then at 10:30, you're going to go back to your emails. Well, now you have a way to get through your to-do list, and you'll get it all done because you know how to manage your time.
Yep. It's a time blocking is really another word for a system of that business, right? But you know what? Here's the thing, right? So concentration is a big problem for a lot of people. It's a big problem for me, and there's a lot of distractions. So how do you handle a distraction? For instance, you're prospecting, you're calling for sale by owners, you're calling expireds, and then all of a sudden, your phone rings and it's an attorney for a deal you're working on. What do? Do you answer the phone? Do you not answer the phone? Do you answer the phone later? Do you call them back later? Do you text them? What do you do?
Again, so if I'm with someone that I'm talking to, I will not answer the phone, right? There's a handful of people on my emergency contact list that if they call, I'll answer the phone. But if the phone just rings and I'm with someone doing a task, I'm not going to answer the phone. They're going to leave a message and I'm going to call back. You need to focus on what you're doing in order to succeed. And yes, while that deal might need your attention, within the next 20 minutes, you'll be able to call the person back and deal with it, right? So we have to get past that anxiety of that instant gratification. I need to do now, right? We're not, in a world where if we don't answer the phone this second, the deal's going to fall apart the next second, right? If we get back to someone in 15 minutes and 20 minutes and 30 minutes, it should be okay. And most of the time things get worked out, right? We all get worked up over an issue because it gets upsetting that, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening in my deal right now. But most of the time it'll work out. It'll shake out. Yes, you might need to get in there and massage it. You get into negotiate, but nothing's going to happen if you don't call back. If you don't answer the phone right away and you call back in 15 or 20 or 30 minutes. So just keep that in mind. Like, we don't need to jump every time the phone rings or our phone buzzes with an email or a text message. Like, yes, if we're in the middle of a conversation with someone, get back to them. But if it's just ringing and just buzzing, like, finish what you're doing, finish what you're focused on, and then get back to it. Right. And what's one thing that's very important is put time in your day to just be lazy, right? Put time in your day to chill, right? Put 30 minutes in there just to sit on the couch and scroll through social media if that's what you want to do. Put 30 minutes to go, play baseball, at a batting cage for 30 minutes just to clear your head. Like, you don't need to schedule your day where every second of the day is work. You need to schedule time in your day to eat lunch. You need to schedule time in your day to chill and relax and enjoy life. So it's not all about work. It's about scheduling your day and time blocking so that you can do all the things you want to do, including being lazy, right? And for you, being lazy means laying on the couch, and watching TV for 30 minutes, then schedule 30 minutes for you to do that, because you need that in order to have the energy to keep going throughout the day and night. These are the things that are important that people need to just make sure that they're focused on.
That's 100%. You're scheduling everything, and you're not letting distractions get in the way. And one of the things that I've done, Marc, is, and I actually from the start of my day, because I do have a problem with concentration, I do admit that, and I see lots of squirrels all day long. So what I do is I always have a pad of paper next to me with a pen. And
you have more than one pad of paper next to you with a pen.
Well,
I don't think I've ever seen you with less than 5 pads of paper with a pen.
That is true. You caught me. It's something I got from my old man, from my dad. He did that all the time. He'd open up his briefcase and he'd had like 10 pads, right? But it's what I do. It allows me not to break my concentration from what I need to be focused on, and it takes the distraction that could derail me, and it puts it on a piece of paper, gets it out of my mind. Now, I will tell you that one of the big problems that I've found, and when I've been talking to agents lately, is that they'll be working on something. Maybe they're working on content for social, or they're working on a project, and they need to go to another part of their computer. Like maybe they need to go to email to get some information they got. And then all of a sudden they see an email come in, and they've gone down that rabbit hole for 30 minutes. Guys, you just cannot allow that to happen. You've got to make sure that you are focused and you're strategic with your day. And that's what, like Marc said, he said, even if you want to watch TV for a half hour, that's you time.
Right.
Because out of the 3 things that are most important in your life, personal, family, and business, personal is actually the most important because it gets you to feel really good with yourself so you can give more and more to your family and more to your business.
Right.
So let's go into a lot of things you're working on. I mean, man, you're working on a lot of different things. You've got, you have Links Residential. We're working on, you've been doing some events with this group you and I are working with Modern Agents Live and some other stuff. Talk to me about how your business has transitioned over the last couple of years with your business transition. What has happened? What are the changes that you've gone through, and how has it helped your business?
I think that the biggest transition is that I realized that I don't need to be just local. I can help agents anywhere. And being able to educate agents and help them get out of their comfort zone and help them understand the things that they need to do in order to be successful, I think has been the biggest change for me over the last 5 years. Being able to coach agents in different states and helping teams, succeed and really focus on what is important has really helped me become a better person, because I've seen a lot more, I've experienced a lot more, I've helped people with different problem solving issues where, this is what we're dealing with, how do we handle it? And it may not be something I actually dealt with firsthand, but I did something similar. So here's how I'm able to help you. Here's how I'm able to share with you. And I think that has just grown to the point where I'm enjoying the public speaking. I'm enjoying the education. I'm enjoying coaching. And, if I can continue doing that more, I think I just can help more people. Right. So that's really been my focus.
It's actually been, the events we've done with Modern Agents Live and stuff has been received really, really well. The people that come. And you know what I love about what we do, because we do it a lot differently, as you know, Marc, and people are engaged. They don't want to leave, and they stay to the end.
Yeah.
Which is really rare when agents are running an event. It's not a brand event. It's not a franchise event. It's basically you and me, and we bring in a lot of our friends who we respect widely to bring in. So going through what our marketing is for me, for you, and for our brand, you've got this interesting moniker on Instagram, MarcTheMisfit. Talk to me about MarcTheMisfit and Marc Stein and how this all intertwines with everything you're doing.
So depending on who's watching and listening to this, back when Steve Jobs came back to Apple and he did the 1984 Think Different campaign, right? A lot of people don't remember the whole campaign. All they remember is the image of what the commercial was. But the commercial starts out, and the marketing piece started out, here are to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of the rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify, vilify them about the only thing you can't do is ignore them. They change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see them as genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. So that piece has come up many, many times. I was a marketing management major in college. I've been part of a lot of conferences, a lot of different marketing groups, and this has come up time and time again. And ever since it really launched, I viewed myself as the misfit, as one of these crazy ones that can do something different to help people. And so when it was time for me to get onto Instagram, which I was delaying because I was not a huge social media person back in the day, I said, I need something that's going to be a little different and a little crazy and let people ask question of why the misfit. So I created MarcTheMisfit. The brand has brought in a lot of interesting questions to me, and I'm able to help a lot more people, because once they understand who I am based on this, then they realize that there's a lot of stuff that I'm willing to do to be successful.
So basically, you took the word different and capitalized and utilized you being different. Not only we're all different as human beings, not only is that, but also in your business.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always talk about is being different is very simple. It's doing what, for me, it's doing what other people refuse to do to be successful. Doing what, for real estate agents, it's doing what agents refuse to do, the business they refuse to do, such as social media or how you run social media or video, for all that matter, right? Talk to me about some of the different things that you've done and the results that you've gotten from them and how it's worked.
I've done a lot of things where it's really about just being different, right? You don't have to do the same thing everyone else is doing. And I try to teach my kids the same thing. Like, just because everyone else is doing one direction doesn't mean you have to go along with them. You can stand out and do something different, right? You don't always have to be, going with the crowd, right? So if there's an opportunity to do good for others, if there's an opportunity to help someone, if there's an opportunity to, stand out by, everyone wants to market this way, but you want to come up with something new and different, like, try it. The worst thing that happens is that it doesn't work and you try again, right? Mm-hmm. You can fail in order to succeed, right? You just have to be willing to be different and willing to try things, right? And it's just a matter of staying focused, staying in that positive mindset, and understanding that, you are you. You don't have to be someone else. You don't have to try and imitate what someone else is doing. Social media has really created that environment where, like, oh, that person has a Gucci belt, I want a Gucci belt. You don't need that. You can go get a normal belt and have it stand out some other way. You don't need all the materialistic things. You just need to be a person that is genuine and that is real and that is different than everyone else, because we are all different. If we all wanted to be the same, we would all look the same. But because we all have our own ideas of what we want to do and who we want to be, you got to just be able to be comfortable enough to go out there and do it.
It's like dance like no one's watching, or sing like no one's watching. And then the response that I have for that is act like a 40-year-old and don't care.
Right.
Don't care. Yeah. And that's exactly it. I mean, that's one of the things that we've done with the Modern Agents Live events is, how often do you see agents, which is what we are, actually promote events? I mean,
not to promote events, we're promoting other agents. Like, we don't care what company you're at. Like, you have a message, you have a specialty, you have something to share, right? You have been different. Share with the world what makes you different. Share in the world what makes you successful, so that others can learn from you and find their path on how to be successful, right? You and I just want to see people succeed. We want to see people happy, successful, living life the way they want to live it, right? The lifestyle that they want to live. But you need to be focused on learning every day, right? You can't just sit stagnant, right? We all learn in high school, we all learn in college, but then we have the learning of life, right? There's ways that, people do things that might be like, hey, that works for him, but if I tweak it like this, it'll work for me, right? We talk about that all the time. So the events that we're running are agents by agents, for agents, making sure that everyone can be successful, learning from each other, learning how to do things. I think that's what makes it so much in demand and so many people want to stay until the end, is because we're providing them actions that they can take today. We're providing them nuggets of information that is going to help them with their business, right? You may not take everything you learn at every conference and every seminar that we run and do everything. But if you can pick up 1 or 2 ideas that you can put into place today for your business and have you be more successful because of it, you and I have done our jobs, and that makes us happy.
That's right. That's right. And it actually, I mean, the fun part for us, I think, when we do the events, do the live events, it's being on stage and talking to people and giving them, the wisdom from our time. And that's really what it is. But I think for me, just like they say, anytime you go to an event, whether it's a conference or seminar, whatever it is, the best part about it is afterwards, at the bar or wherever the event is held, you hang out and you talk to people, because that's where you get the one-on-ones, and people can really come up to you and ask you the questions of what you actually talked about. And that's what we've been able to do, is really just give out as much as we've got. And that's what we're doing. I mean, our mantras are basically the same. It's just different words. For you, it's too good for others. For me, it's all I want to do is help people. Right. So it's basically the same thing. So they've been going really well. We got some stuff coming up in February with that. So, but you've got something coming up soon too, is you've got a new podcast you're launching. Talk to me about the podcast. Talk to me about the name of it. Talk to me about why, and then talk to me about what you're doing differently on these that others aren't doing. So talk to me about your podcast.
So the podcast is called Whatever It Takes. It is a business and life podcast that we're going to interview and discuss what does it take to be successful? What does it take to overcome obstacles? What does it take to be you of who you are? And I was trying to figure out what to name. I was trying to figure out what my message was, but everything that we talked about came back to what does it take to do something? And so we named it Whatever It Takes. We're launching first week in January. We got some awesome guests throughout January who are going to be on it. And they're all just going to tell their story of how they became successful, or how they got to where they are today, or how they overcame certain things, or what they had to do in order to get to the next step. Right. And so there's a lot of really good life lessons in there. First episode is me telling you about me, right? How I overcame, what does it take, get people to know who I am. And then we have a lot of really great guests coming up who are going to share their idea of, what it took for them to succeed and what it took for them to overcome obstacles and what they plan to do with it now that they've reached certain levels. But if you talk to anybody in business, they all have a story. They all have, ups and downs. They all have obstacles. They all have challenges, but they all overcame them, right? So I want people to see the behind the scenes of all that. I want people to understand how far back people need to go in order to get to where they are today. And so that's really what we're doing. So we're launching, it's been an idea of mine for 2 years. And for whatever reason, I wasn't as focused on getting it done as I should have been. But now I'm focused on getting it done. We're recording, we're launching, everything's ready to go. So follow me at MarcTheMisfit on Instagram for all the announcements, and you will see it coming up in about 10 days.
That's really exciting, man. I mean, it's going to be really, whatever it takes is something a lot of people say, but it's not what a lot of people will do. It's all about, whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this done. Right. And I love the name of it, because it talks to me to, the word that I always use and always work on and help people with is that word is commitment. Doing whatever it takes means you're absolutely, totally, completely committed to what you're going to do, and where nothing's going to stop you from doing it. And the stories of, other entrepreneurs, whether they be in real estate or other, and I know you got to have people from other professions. It's not a real estate based program as this is. Mm-hmm. And, it's got to be real exciting for you. It's really, really cool. I look forward to listening to that and, actually helping you along with it, as we talked about.
So we'll be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify right now. So launching January. Follow us for the announcements and links to where to watch it or listen to it.
That's great. Looking forward to that. So there's something else that I really want to talk about, and it's something that is really, really cool, and that's the stuff behind you. Yes. Talk to me about the stuff behind you, and what is it? Talk to me about it.
This is our inspiration wall in our house. A couple years ago, I was out looking for some type of motivational or inspirational artwork for my daughters, and was not able to find anything that didn't have to do with money or materialistic things. And I was just looking for positive messaging, and we couldn't find anything. So we started this little project called Kidspiration Art, which was just a bunch of bright, colorful artwork for kids. Very simple, very clean, direct messaging to them to keep them positive, keep them happy. And it's turned into a business now called limitlessart.com. And we have a bunch of different lines of motivational, inspirational artwork and photography that's just limitless in terms of getting people's mindset in the right place. So we started out with kids, and now we have teenagers, adults, we have people in their offices, tons of schools and psychologists who have ordered our artwork. And it's around the country now where, we're trying to just bring in the right message to the world, where you can be happy or be beautiful with who you are, right? Be brave, be unique, be kind. These are messaging that people need to hear over and over and over again. And if they see it visually in bright colors, the psychology of it is going to burn into their brain. Like they're going to see it over and over again. And so when they're in difficult times, they have to remember to be brave and get through it, right? And these are just messaging that we want the world to have. And it's been a great project working with my daughters on it. And now it's available to everyone on limitlessart.com.
I love it, man. I mean, I started seeing more and more of this during the pandemic, because this is you're doing this at your home, and this is on your walls in your home and stuff. And it was really cool how it worked. And we actually had your daughters on a broadcast at one time as well, which is really cool. So, man, you've got a lot of stuff going on. You've grown your business. You had a brokerage. You pared that down and did much better. What would you say to agents that are getting going in the business and they're on a roll and they want to keep going? And we can talk about new agents, we can talk about stuck agents, but let's just talk about agents that are on a roll and want to really want to crush it. What advice would you give them? Because this is where you've been as well.
So real estate is not a job. It's not anything else, but it's a lifestyle. And if you understand the lifestyle of being in real estate and the commitment that it takes to talk to everyone, then you will be successful. And that means waking up every morning, understanding, what you need to do. And it's the commitment that you talk about. It's the time blocking that I talk about. It's really whatever it takes to be successful, but treating it like a lifestyle. When I interview new agents, I make sure they understand, like, this is not a part-time gig. This is not like, oh, let me dabble in it. Let me try a deal here and there. Those people will always do a deal here and there. But if you want to treat this like a business and be successful, you got to treat it like a lifestyle where you're going to live the lifestyle of being a realtor, being on call, making sure that your customers feel like they are the most important people in the world, providing them with the best service, making sure that you thank them and are grateful for them and they understand that you're genuine about that, because that's going to keep building you as a personal brand. It's going to keep building your business and keep building referrals. And so you just need to keep going.
Beautiful. So we have a comment from someone asking us to repeat the information about the podcast that you just talked about from Lee.
The podcast is launching in January. It's called Whatever It Takes. And if you follow me at MarcTheMisfit on Instagram, you will see the announcements and get the links early January.
Okay, cool. So I'm just putting it. I'm going to put it in the scroll here so people can see it. Okay. I'm not a public typer, so it takes me a little bit of time. So I'll put that up there. So there we go. Whatever It Takes podcast, launching in January. Marc, this has been great. It's Christmas Eve, and for me, I spent the year of 2021, and I'm going to talk about it again next week, but I spent the year reflecting on life and reflecting on a lot of different things, because a lot of people just don't understand that you're not out there alone. There are things that happen in life that are disappointments. There are frustrations. And, as we get older in life, those actually are stories that you actually rise from. So I've spent the year in time looking back and thinking about what my life was about, what brought me to a point. If I thought about, like for instance, today I thought a lot about Christmas Eve and past Christmas Eves and stuff. And one of the things I realized, even though there have been some lonely Christmas Eves, there also have been great, great times. And I do my best to remember not only the good stuff, but the good stuff and how important it is and what an impact I've been able to make on people, So I think that's really, really important for people to look at their lives and their business, especially over this week and last week and next week, to go forward.
Listen, I think everyone has a point in the year, whatever religion you are, whatever background you have, like there's always a point in the year where you're going to reflect on the past year, the past 12 months, the past, things that you've accomplished, the things that you've challenged you. Like, I think it's very important for everyone to take a couple of minutes and realize the things that they were able to do over the course of the last 12 months, the good, the bad. We all have ups and downs in our lives. We all have, business issues. We all have personal issues. We all have, a lot of concerns, right? But we also have a lot of success. So you have to remember there's good and there's bad. We look back every year and we're like, I don't know how we got through that year, but we did, right? And so as stressful or as anxious as we are throughout the year, I think we need to focus on that. We got through the year. We're here. We're healthy. Hopefully you're all healthy. And we're going to get to a new year where, refocus, regroup, and make sure that you are doing what you want to be doing every day and make sure you're happy doing it. And that's what's going to lead to success.
Yeah, that's great. So Marc, we've talked about a lot of different things. We've talked about limitlessart.com, your podcast. We've talked about your growth as an owner. And just the last thing I want to hit upon, which we talked briefly about, is you made a move a couple of years ago by actually paring down your brokerage and moving over to another brokerage. Talk to me about the importance of that. And were there any mistakes that happened, or is there anything you can talk about, on that move and what you did?
So again, it comes back down to reflection. Like, I was a broker owner of a brokerage that had 3 offices and over 70 agents, right? And I thought that was what I wanted to be doing. But when I realized every day I was dealing with stuff I didn't want to be doing, and I was dealing with all the legalities, compliance, and all these things, I realized this is not what I wanted to spend my time doing, right? I didn't want to deal with the administrative business part of the brokerage. Right. So I separated the idea in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm a broker owner, but you want to know what? Do I want to be a broker or do I want to be an owner? And once I broke that down and realized that I don't need to be a broker in order to be an owner. I can be an owner of my company and my business without the brokerage responsibilities and expenses and headaches and liabilities and compliance. I was like, this is the best thing I can do. So I decided to close my offices slowly, and move over my business to Exp Realty, which is really like a platform for me to run my business through. They deal with all the legalities, liabilities, compliance, insurances, all the things that you have to do as a broker in order to be an owner. And now I got rid of all that stuff, and now I'm just an owner, and I'm the CEO of Links Residential. I am focused on helping my agents do more business, bring in more clients, bring in more leads, give the best service we can. And now I'm able to grow in any state I want, and including globally, where my brand now can be in Florida, where I want to be, can be in Israel, where my brother is, right? And we're building a larger and larger organization now, where I am the owner of the organization without having to worry about the brokerage responsibilities and limitations that are out there. So that's really why I was motivated to make the change. And here we are today, 2 years later almost, and it's probably the best decision I ever made.
Are there any regrets?
Zero.
I just look at it one way. As far as I moved over to EXP a little before you, and my only regret is I didn't do it sooner, right? And there's no question about that. You know what? It's the way I look at it. It's just a great move. I got more people to work with than I ever did have, and
right.
When I was in my other franchise situation, I could never talk to these people, and they would never get down in the trenches with me. They all do now. Marc, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. It is Christmas Eve, and we went a little earlier to make it work for everybody because I've got lots of stuff to do. You've got lots of stuff to do. We got family and everything. It was really kind of exciting. How how do people, I mean, we've got your email on there. You got your at MarcTheMisfit. Any other thing you'd like to finish with, aside from telling other people how to get in touch with you?
Just want to leave people with one message, is that life is hard. There's many ups and downs, and even the best people in the world have had failure, but we're able to overcome and get it to success. So, there's a famous story that, Michael Jordan was given the ball, I think it was like a few hundred times in order to get the game-winning shot. And he failed many, many times, but he learned from that every time and was able to succeed. And now is still known as one of the greatest players of all time. So like, even the greatest people have failure, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop what you're doing. It means learn from it and get better and do better every time.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry for going in and out. I didn't mean to distract anybody. I was looking for something that I wasn't prepared for. I apologize for that. But Marc, I'm going to ask this question because I ask it all the time. And I know you and I see each other every day. Oh, well, not every day, but often, and talk to each other every day. But how do I help you grow your business?
You help me by just keeping me motivated and focused, right? Making sure that, I have support from you in order to be successful.
Thank you so much. Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on in. And I would be remiss if I didn't get into the final thing I do on every broadcast, but you already got your.
I do have mine. I don't have it in front of me, but I have mine and I love it.
So I want everybody to see that these are the new ones. They're white. We have black. We have red. But this is going to be great for the summer on the golf course for us. Marc, thanks so much for coming on. Hang on for a minute as we go out. Everybody, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, just have an awesome, awesome, awesome day and week. And we will see you next week with, hold on, I forgot to put it up. There it is. We got the great Jason Frazier coming out, a mortgage magnate who just knows what he's doing. He teaches mortgage people, and Jason's going to be on. He was actually on episode number 3 of Real Estate Talk, TGIF. So thanks again, and we will see you all really soon.